Hello and welcome. So, if you get approached by the police and they start talking to you, what exactly are you going to say? Once was a time in this country when a police officer stopping for a chat was literally just a chat. It was community policing. Sadly, those days are long gone. In the era of body-worn video, performance targets and intelligence-led policing, the friendly chat nowadays is just a myth. If a police officer initiates a conversation with you nowadays, there is a high probability they want one of three things: information, observations, or worst case, a confession. They are indeed professionals gathering data, and you and me are the source of that data. Okay, let's start with the most basic thing, the street stop. You're walking down the street and an officer approaches you and says, "Hi there, can I have a quick word?" Or, "Hi there, where are you coming from today?" Your first response, because they're a police officer, is going to be to answer the question they ask you. But just pause for 1 second and ask yourself, why are they asking it? And before you do anything, you need to halt the conversation and ask some key questions. Firstly, you politely ask,
"Am I under caution?"
If they say no, don't relax just yet. Next, you verify your status in the situation. So you ask,
"Am I being detained?"
If they answer no again, then legally you're a voluntary participant in the conversation. And one final question, just to get the record straight before you speak.
"Am I a suspect?"
If they say no, then any further participation is completely optional. Under the Police and Criminal Evidence Act 1984, or PACE as it's better known, in most circumstances the police have no power to force you to talk unless you are a suspect, under caution, or being lawfully detained. So your response in that situation, should you choose not to speak to them and you really don't want to, is quite simple. You just say,
"In that case, officer, I don't wish to answer any questions, so I assume I am free to go?"
Don't let situational anxiety and pressure trap you into saying something you may later regret, especially if you genuinely haven't done anything wrong. Try and keep calm and remain polite and courteous. However, as mentioned, if they do suspect that you've committed a crime or been a party to a crime, they do have the legal right to request your name and address as part of their ongoing investigation. And they can do this without cautioning you or detaining you. In this instance, you should comply and give them your name and address. Nothing more, nothing less, just your name and address. If you choose not to, the situation can get much worse very quickly. It may lead to you being cautioned, arrested, and possibly even charged with obstructing a police officer. If it turns out they do caution you or detain you or place you under arrest, remember the golden rule: be polite, stay relaxed, and just say,
"I am happy to assist you with your inquiries. However, I will not answer any further questions without first consulting a solicitor."
Don't refuse to speak entirely. Although you do have the right of silence in this country, you can't plead the Fifth Amendment, that's American, but you do have a right of silence. It even says that in the caution, you have a right to remain silent. But in reality, if you do choose to remain silent, an adverse inference may be made from your silence. Human nature assumes if somebody runs, that they are guilty. If somebody clams up and doesn't say a word, that kind of has the same effect. Plus, let's consider the first part of the caution. You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned something which you later rely on in court. Now, that's not just what the police say when you get arrested. It actually does have meaning. Just consider the words themselves. It is telling you, they are warning you, that you cannot rely on something later in court if you haven't disclosed it when being questioned. So based on that, don't try and be smart and stay silent and not say a word, because that may well later on be inferred as being guilty. After identifying yourself and providing your address, just advise the arresting officer or the officer placing you under caution that you'd like to exercise your right to seek legal advice before answering any further questions. Then, if you do end up in court, the prosecution can't say that you remained silent when being questioned by the police initially, because you didn't. Okay, you didn't volunteer any information other than requesting a solicitor, but you did cooperate by giving your name and address. So it's likely that at a later court hearing, it won't get mentioned at all. So the magistrate, judge or jury can't infer that you had something to hide by not speaking, because it won't get mentioned that you didn't really say anything and you were first cautioned or arrested. So what it will do is help retain an unbiased start to your trial or your hearing. Okay, now let's apply this to the roadside stop. You see blue lights, you pull over and the officer approaches your vehicle. The trap here is the opening question. "Good evening, do you know why I stopped you?" If you hasten to guess and say, "Was I speeding or did I run a red light?" you've just introduced two potential offences to the conversation. You've invited the police to probe deeper on that subject. Or worst case, by saying that, you may have inadvertently admitted that you don't actually know what speed you were doing and you don't actually know whether you ran through a red light or not, which obviously could lead to you being charged with driving without due care and attention. So be cautious how you reply. Try and stay neutral. Say something along the lines of, "Hello, how may I assist you, officer?" Then let them state the reason why they pulled you over. If they ask where you've been, or whether you've been drinking, or what you've been up to, remember the street stop rules. If the questioning becomes accusatory, revert to the script.
Am I under caution? Am I a suspect? Am I being detained?
If I'm not, may I continue on my way? Do not help them build the reasonable suspicion they need to caution or arrest you or investigate the situation further. Let them do their job and tell you why they pulled you over. And remember, you're not required to give a commentary on your life unless they officially caution you or arrest you or advise you're a suspect, and then you're going to request legal advice before you participate in an interview. But above all, remain polite and courteous, because swearing, insulting or being rude to a police officer will only get you in more trouble there and then. However, there is an exception, of course. Please do bear in mind, if you're driving a vehicle, or even a bicycle, or probably an e-scooter now, and you're suspected of committing a driving offence or being involved in an incident, you are legally obliged to provide your details and details of the driver and the vehicle under the Road Traffic Act 1988. Another exception would be if you're involved in a road traffic collision or suspected of committing a drink driving offence, in which case they will likely make a formal request for a breathalyser test, which you should comply with to avoid a further separate offence of failing to provide, which often carries harsher penalties. But again, unless you're a suspect, under caution or arrested, you're not obligated to provide any more details than your name, address, the identity of the driver, and any car-related details. Do as asked in a polite and respectful manner, maintaining the request for your right to legal counsel before being interviewed any further. Finally, we've got possibly the most intimidating scenario for most people, the home visit. Police knock on your door, you open the door, they smile and say, "Can we come in for a quick chat?" It sounds informal. It's probably not. The automatic response by your average run-of-the-mill polite person is to open the door and let them in. Bear in mind, police have an implied right to walk up your driveway or up your path and to knock on your front door, but they do not have an implied right to enter your home. Unless, of course, they have a warrant or are acting under Section 17 of PACE to save life or limb, or if they have a reasonable suspicion that an indictable offence is taking place, or to arrest somebody for an indictable offence that's already taken place. In those instances, they do have a right of entry, and if needs be, they can force their way in. However, if you answer the door, they will need to tell you this information and provide you with a warrant if they have one. So, assuming they have no legal right of entry, you are perfectly entitled to keep them on your doorstep. If, however, you do choose to invite them in, the items in plain view doctrine kicks in. So anything they see inside your home, a laptop screen, a phone message, any substances on the table or the worktop, ornamental weapons like knives or nunchucks, can obviously arouse suspicion and lead to further questioning, precaution, seizures, or even an arrest. We waive any rights you have in relation to them looking around your home when you invited them in the front door. So, your response when you answer the door is critical. Step out, close the door, and speak to them on your front step, and say to them,
Officer, I am happy to speak with you here. I do not consent to you entering my home.
If they have the power to enter, they won't ask for permission. They'll tell you under what authority, or they'll show you a warrant. If they ask for permission, that means they have no authority to enter. So do not give it to them unless you're 100% comfortable with the situation and you know exactly why they're there. And again, remember the golden rules.
Am I under caution? Am I a suspect? Am I being detained?
If not, you have no obligation to talk to them anyway. Okay, so why am I being so strict on what you can and can't say when you first interact with the police? Why not just be nice and cooperate? Because if you are cautioned, the Criminal Justice and Public Order Act 1994 does warn that silence can harm your defence. But talking without taking legal advice first could be even worse. Let's face it, how many times have you misinterpreted something that somebody said? And it makes the situation sound so much worse than it is. The police will do the same. They are, after all, human beings, and they're human beings that are trained to be suspicious at all times. And in fairness, even if you aren't charged with anything or arrested for anything, the Criminal Justice Act 2003 allows for bad character evidence to be gathered. So those friendly chats you had, where you admitted liking a few drinks, or you've gotten a few punch-ups when you've had a couple of beers, or you get a bit hot-headed sometimes, are likely recorded one way or another and sitting on your record. They can be used at a later date in court to prove a pattern of behaviour. You aren't just chatting with the police, you're creating your police profile. Okay, so the police do have a tough job, and they use every tool at their disposal to get the results they need. But we have rights too. Your main tools are:
Am I under caution? Am I a suspect? Am I being detained?
I am happy to assist you with your inquiries. However, I will not answer any further questions without first consulting a solicitor.
If you're questioned, don't be afraid to use them. Remember, you are innocent until you're proven guilty. The police's job is to gather evidence and investigate crimes, not to intimidate the public. Okay, so what do you think of modern police powers? Are they too intrusive and excessive, or are they an absolute necessity in modern society? Leave your thoughts in the comments to join the conversation. Subscribe to stay up to date with changes in the law that affect you and tips on your rights in a rapidly evolving, technologically driven society. But for now, stay safe, stay legal, and I'll see you next time.